Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we talk with the new president of the U.S. Meat Export Federation, Dean Meyer. He is a farmer and livestock producer from Iowa. We'll also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and the weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association, and market information from Pinion.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat, online at kswheat.com.
In agricultural news, farm loan interest rates increased sharply in the third quarter. The Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City says despite the high borrowing cost, farm real estate values continued higher, but the rate of increase slowed in the quarter. Following consistently higher increases earlier in the year, the value of farmland in most districts grew at a slightly slower pace in the third quarter. Farm income and credit conditions also remained strong, but the improvement was more limited. Now, with higher production expenses, broad inflation, and higher financing costs, growth in household spending by farm borrowers began to outpace capital spending a little more noticeably. Strong farm finances continue to support a generally positive outlook for agricultural credit conditions throughout the remainder of this year. Now, some pressures have continued to intensify, though. Despite more measured improvements in recent quarters, farm finances remaining solid following especially strong incomes across the sector over the last 2 years. Well, the upper house of Japan's government, called the Diet, approved a protocol amending U.S.-Japan trade agreement regarding the beef safeguard mechanism. The U.S. Trade Representative's office says that completes the Diet's process of finalizing the agreement. The new three triggers safeguard mechanism allows U.S. exporters now to meet Japan's growing demand for high-quality beef and reduce the probability that Japan will impose higher tariffs in the future. U.S. Trade Representative Catherine Tai said the protocol will ensure that our farmers and ranchers continue to have access to one of the world's most dynamic markets. She said, "We're excited that Japanese consumers can enjoy high-quality U.S. beef that's a staple of the agriculture industry." In 2021, the U.S. was the top beef exporting country in the world, with global sales of beef products valued at more than $10 billion. U.S. beef exports to Japan totaled about $2.4 billion in 2021. That makes Japan the second largest export market. And China imported more than $205 billion of ag products in 2021. That includes more than $37 billion from the U.S. But USDA's Economic Research Service points out that trade barriers deterred Chinese imports from reaching even higher levels. China's import barriers create what are called price wedges. That's in which domestic prices for ag commodities, including things like beef, corn, pork, and wheat, are higher than the world price. The ERS recently found that removing those price wedges would lead to increased agriculture imports for the four commodities over the next 5 to 10 years. For example, for corn and wheat, removing the price wedges was estimated to increase China's imports by 91% for corn and 249% for wheat. Now, both of these commodities are subject to a tariff rate quota, which could constrain additional imports. Overall, the benefits of removing these trade barriers would be widespread and increasing sales for producers in the U.S. as well as other exporting countries, along with yielding lower food prices for China's consumers. Stay with us. We're coming up after this break.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com.
And we're joined now by Dean Meyer, who is the new chairman of the U.S. Meat Export Federation, a farmer from Iowa. Dean, thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
All right, so let's talk about really another near record in some, or a record year yet again for beef exports.
Yeah, it's an exciting story to tell. Beef exports are a record year. We're 20% in value above 2021, and we had $8 billion sales month, which is incredible, and it's exciting to share.
It seems like on the day-to-day basis we talk about it, we wouldn't think that, but there's still a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes, and there's a lot of movement still taking place even with those challenges.
Absolutely, yeah. USMEF has staff in 18 countries. We got activities going on in 80 countries around the world, and there's huge opportunity in spite of our infrastructure challenges we had this year. COVID issues, there's countries that are still zero COVID policy, and now we got the rising dollar and slumping currency in some markets. The demand has been really resilient, and it's exciting they want a product. We raise the most abundant, sustainable, safest, most nutritious product in the world, and they're realizing that, and it's exciting to market that.
Well, Dean, maybe talk a little bit about how you got involved with USMEF and it got you to this point. It's maybe just a little bit unique.
Yeah, I'm a producer from Northwest Iowa. I'm fourth generation. I farm with my three sons. We have a corn, soybean, beef feedlot, pork operation, and I was elected to serve on the Iowa Corn Growers Board. Being from the densest part of the state of livestock, I knew livestock was near and dear to my heart. Livestock's the number one consumer of corn, and so that's where my passion is. And I was then elected by the feed grain states to serve on the U.S. Meat Export Federation, and here I am, chair this year, and really excited to work with. What really intrigued me about the U.S. Meat Export Federation, it's 9 different sectors. Whether you're a corn, soybean producer, you're a beef, pork, lamb producer, or you're a packer or purveyor, we all sit at the same table and we work together to make decisions that really benefits all of us in red meat exports.
Right. Dean Meyer from Iowa, he is the new chairman of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. We're going to take a quick break, back with more in just a moment.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
And Dean Meyer is an Iowa farmer and the chairman of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. And boy, again, record year beef. Fairly strong for pork, a little bit off, but it seems like working hard to develop more markets beyond just China.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, we had an excellent year if you consider pre-COVID years. Mm-hmm. It was a record year if you on pork side, and you know, what the beauty of U.S. meat export is we don't focus on one market. We're broad-based. You know, we have challenges in one market. We got other markets to compensate for it. And then we got new and emerging markets. You know, on the beef side, you know, Korea, Japan, and China just shining stars this year, and pork, Mexico, Central South America, Korea. You know, there's huge opportunities there. There's room for growth. And it isn't just the high quality cuts that we were marketing there. You know, we market those cuts that aren't desirable, the variety meats and the underutilized cuts. That's where we really add value to those carcasses. $60 a head in beef is what they add to the value of each beef carcass, just the variety meats, and over $10 a head in the pork side. For example, a tongue here, it's worth maybe a few dollars a pound. I was in Japan 6 weeks ago, and on a retail supermarket shelf, it was equated to $25 US. So the value that USMEF adds on the cuts that we really don't want here.
All right.
Yeah, Africa's a new frontier for us. We got staff there. It's got the youngest demographics in the world. It's got a growing middle class. It's going to be key for U.S. meat exports in the next 10 years.
It's a busy time on your farm. Got those three sons in there with you. It gives you maybe the opportunity to go do things like this. But talk about, as a farmer, and really all the different things that your farm and the USMEF touches. What does that mean to your mindset when you're out there working and doing those daily activities on the farm?
I think what USMEF, the farm does for USMEF and USMEF does for the farm. They work together. We did a video on our farm of our whole operation, and that was sent over social media in Japan, and they had like 8 million hits the first few weeks, and said it reached a third of the population. That's what they want to. They can't come to our farm, but we can bring our farm to them, and that's an important part of telling the story with USMEF. And then another thing I think of is when my sons and I, each time we load cattle, it's about $500 a head, the value that USMEF is adding to each carcass. When I load pigs, it's $60 value per head. That means a lot to me. That's why I'm here, and that's why I'm excited about exports, and that's why they're so necessary in production agriculture.
Dean Meyer, who's an Iowa farmer and chairman of the U.S. Meat Export Federation, has joined us. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
So our Seed to STEM program is very much a teacher-run program, and the purpose of it is to enable science teachers, middle school through high school, to be able to teach about our corn industry, to focus on biotechnology, to teach about ethanol in the classroom, but it goes beyond just providing the curriculum. Really, we want to be able to provide the supplies as well. But the purpose is on teachers, equipping them with the equipment and the labs that they need to be able to teach about agriculture in their science classrooms.
The labs that are here that we're participating with are a great way to expand on the lessons that we use already. Helps to bring in ag science. It helps to develop further our curriculum in an urban setting, showing our students more than what they would typically see within the city limits, and also finding that real world application and developing that bigger picture, that grander understanding of the world.
One of the things that impressed me the most about this workshop was having the teachers who designed some of these lab activities present them and explain the process of how they developed the activities and developed the labs. And then the conversation about how to extend those. And so having that conversation with the teachers that developed them was really, really impressive.
Being a science teacher in a public school system, being provided with the supplies, I'm going to be more likely to teach the lessons. Funding is a huge limitation for all of us in the classroom, and some of the supplies are rather costly, especially to be able to deliver to nearly 100 students. So just being afforded that allows for me to actually implement the lessons.
The supplies that we receive from the workshop are very valuable to me. I teach in a very small school district, and some of these supplies are somewhat expensive. So to be able to incorporate them in a larger scale in my small school with a smaller budget is difficult to do. So to be able to not only do the activities hands-on, but to leave with the materials to do it right away in my classroom as quickly as possible is very valuable.
You have to get here. You have to come to these workshops, see what they have to offer. It's going to open your mind to a new way of delivering content standard instruction that we're all hoping to become better at.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
While triple-digit yields may have seemed impossible during this year's drought, Kansas wheat producers exemplified how the right combination of genetics, management, and luck pay off with the winning entries in the 2022 National Wheat Yield Contest. National and state winners were recently released by the National Wheat Foundation, which has organized the competition for the past 7 years. In the dryland winter wheat category, Brett Olkey from Hoxie took the top Kansas spot with an entry of West-bred grain field that yielded 106.34 bushels per acre. The entry also earned Olkey 5th place nationally for percentage increase over the county average. Hayes producers John and Matt Grabby took the 2nd and 3rd place in Kansas with entries of West-bred WB 4422, which yielded 103.24 bushels per acre, and West-bred WD 4792, which yielded 97.88 bushels per acre, respectively. In the irrigated winter wheat category, David Leonard from Goodland placed first in the state with an entry of Plains Gold Langnan, which yielded 119.57 bushels per acre. Matt Brack from Hutchinson earned second with an entry of West-bred WB 4401 that yielded 103.44 bushels per acre. Follow Kansas Wheat in the coming weeks to learn more about the Kansas winners and their tips and tricks for success this year. Learn more about the National Wheat Yield Contest at yieldcontest.wheatfoundation.org.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
What if U.S. soybean meal were more than a commodity? If seed companies and the soybean checkoff built a better variety? That future is here. The time is now. To meet end-user demands, the soybean checkoff is investing in the compositional quality of soybeans, including meal. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Brian Weta is part of a fifth-generation farm established in 1876 through a land grant signed by President Ulysses S. Grant. Weta Farms, LLC is a diversified farm in Sedgwick County.
This is a family farm. It's a fifth-generation family farm and pretty diverse operation, and we've kind of progressed over the years and changed our operation. My grandparents started an egg-laying operation, and as the industry changed, we converted one of those laying houses to a hog operation. Right now we have a hog finishing operation, which helps provide nutrients for our soils. We use the hog manure on our crops to provide a sustainable fertilizer source. We also do a lot of no-till production. The no-till reduces soil erosion by wind and rain to have that crop residue left out there. Also builds organic matter in the soil. So we do a lot of no-till production. We grow a lot of our own feeds for our hogs and our cattle, corn and milo to feed to the hogs, and we raise alfalfa, sedan, straw for our cattle to sustain the feeding of our cattle. We have a cow-calf operation, about 100 cows. In the summertime, they graze the Flint Hills in Butler County. In the wintertime, we bring them back, and so we use crop residues. We graze crop residues to provide a sustainable food source for them. It also returns nutrients back to the soil when we graze the cattle on our ag land. Weta Farms also has a wheat seed operation. We have a seed farm here, and then we sell to local producers for their seed needs. We meet their seed needs in the fall, and we sell currently 3 different varieties, but those varieties change over the years depending on how the breeds evolve and change. We sell grain to ICM, and it's a sustainable fuel source. They use it for ethanol production, and it's a way our operation can be sustainable in the future, is selling that sustainable fuel source. So the diversity has helped our operation be sustainable over the years. We feel like if we hit the high markets in the livestock one year, maybe the next year we hit the high markets in the grains. So it helps our operation to be profitable throughout the years.
To learn more about sustainability on the farm, visit KansasLivingMagazine.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
The Kansas Beef Council is committed to effectively reaching consumers to increase beef demand. To make that possible, KBC routinely collects market research through questionnaires consumers complete about their protein preferences and beef perceptions. The most recent survey was conducted in August and included a sample size of 300 people from across Kansas and in the Kansas City metro area. Survey results showed 75% of Kansans and 72% of consumers in Kansas City have a positive perception of beef. Around 84% of Kansans and 79% of Kansas City residents said they eat beef weekly. There are 3 main considerations Kansas consumers have when selecting which protein to purchase. Those are taste, value, and safety. More than 80% of respondents believe beef is great tasting and good for many types of meals. Consumers did indicate that access to quick, easy, and healthy recipes could encourage them to increase their beef consumption. Product packaging is where Kansas consumers said they primarily get their information about beef nutrition, but Pinterest and influencers are where they look for recipes and information about how cattle are raised. KBC used all this information when developing their fall social media campaign featuring 10 beef soup recipes. The campaign used targeted ads on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and TikTok. The content was seen more than 750,000 times and had over 160,000 engagements.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Good day. This is Derek Hermish with Pinion. The holidays are a good time to take stock of what you have to be thankful for. Along those same lines, it's a good time of year to look back at what worked and what didn't. For instance, did hedging grain prices work this year? Yes and no. The months of May and June, by and large, offered better futures prices for corn, soybeans, and wheat than you had at harvest and after. Cash prices, on the other hand, were a different story. Many places in the Plain States experienced $1 to $2 improvement in 2022 harvest delivered corn basis from May to October. There are ways to separate futures and basis when hedging, and reasons as to why one is a good idea over another, depending on the situation. One of the reasons to lean on futures rather than cash in front of harvest is that if you have a drought locally, you are much more likely to see a basis improvement than necessarily a futures improvement. You are also much more flexible in exiting a futures contract or an HTA should you not come up with enough bushels to fill your contract. Hopefully those that experienced the drought this year do not have to learn this lesson again next year, but it's going to be a tough one to forget for now. I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us at kansasagreport.net or our social media channels. I'm Ken Rogers. We visit with you on the radio across the state of Kansas every day, and I invite you to join us next week for the Kansas Ag Report. Thanks for watching.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.